This podcast is sponsored by the Fireman Moving Company. The Fireman Moving Company is the official moving company of WKU Athletics. Not only can they be trusted to move all the coaches in and out of Western, but they can move you anywhere nationwide. The Fireman Moving Company is owned and operated by firemen and is founded by WKU alumni. If you're looking to move sometime soon, give them a call at 270-791-1755 and get yourself a free quote. Welcome to Topper Talk, your number one Western Kentucky athletics podcast. I'm your host, Stephen Moffitt, and I'm joined by co-host Tyler Bailey. Hilltopper Nation, whether it's happening on the hill or on the road, grab those red towels, stand up and cheer, because it's up next on Topper Talk. All right, welcome back, and thank you for downloading and listening to another episode of the Topper Talk podcast. We are the official podcast of the Red Towel Trust Collective, and we are a proud member of the College Huddle podcast community. Make sure you're following us on all of our social media accounts, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Make sure you slide on over to our YouTube channel, subscribe over there. Make sure you get caught up with all the episodes as we drop them, typically weekly, sometimes twice a week, but just content always coming out across every platform. So just hit that follow button, hit that like, subscribe, comment, do all the things. We always appreciate all that love and support. I've got Tyler here with me, man. We've got a lot to wrap up and some basketball games to talk about, man. You ready to dive in?
Yeah, dude, let's get it.
But as always, before we dive into the basketball games that were this past weekend and the ones coming up, we have to get caught up with our Red Towel wrap up, which catches us up with all the athletic news that we've missed since we last recorded, and is brought to us by the Trent Bedding Company.
Don't forget your headboards, pillows, and your sheets. We got everything you need for a good night's sleep. Number one on the same check, best of Bowling Green.
All right. Hey! Twins, full, queen and king. Mattresses for anything. Come and pick it out and we can bring it to your house. Have you sleeping real good before the weekend's out. Trent Bedding. It's just like a mattress store. Hey.
All right, so starting out, we got the Lady Toppers basketball beat Sam Houston State 57-45 and beat Lod Tech 78-73.
Yeah, we've been saying, all season that Greg Collins and the, Lady Topper basketball team, man, they have been on a positive upswing. They've lost a couple games. There's been a couple bumps in the road in conference play, but for the most part, I mean, they are just taking care of business. Josie Gilvin, now with 2 straight double-doubles. Thought she was going to be named Conference Player of the Week, but somehow got robbed for another girl whose team went 1-1. Me, I would have went with the girl balling out for the winning team, but that's just me. But, yeah, love to see what the Lady Toppers are doing. Right now, I think they're third in Conference USA standings. Just a couple weeks now left in the season. And I really think they can go make some noise when we get down to Huntsville in a few weeks.
WKU Tennis beat Belmont 5-2 and also beat Missouri State to a score of 7-0.
Yeah, that was a good way to start. I think it's like a 9-match homestand for the Lady Topper tennis team. So, yeah, taking care of business versus Belmont. And then I know Missouri State isn't technically in Conference USA till July 1st, but welcome to Conference USA with that 7-0 butt kicking. Go Tops.
Lady Toppers golf, they was at the Reynolds Lake Oconee Invitational. Team finished first overall. Katie Craig finished second, Sydney Hackett third, and Kaylee Dwyer fourth.
Yeah, the golf team, kind of picking up where they left off last year. I mean, we knew they had a really strong team. They've added a couple really good pieces. We talked about that earlier. In the spring, they've had a couple, newcomers, new faces, freshmen leading the team. But now Katie Craig's back. She had done an amateur open. Katie Craig's back doing Katie Craig things, finishing second overall. Then Sydney and Kaylee right behind her in third and fourth, the team winning the championship. They beat the number 26 ranked Florida team was right behind them in second. And this is the 12th program victory for Coach Adam Gary, which is a program record. The previous record was 7. And he's just absolutely blown it away. I have really high hopes and expectations for what this season can be for the Lady Topper golf team, because we are just loaded top to bottom on that team.
Yes, sir. Here's some big news. Former Hilltopper player and coach Willie Taggart, he has been promoted to the assistant head coach and running backs coach with the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, old Boss Hog there getting a nice little promotion in the NFL. Really love to see that for him. Obviously, former coach here, former player here, bounced around at a few other institutions, is kind of stuck in the NFL now for a couple years. And, with the Hardballs, he's very familiar with them. They're familiar with him. And getting promoted to assistant head coach, that's huge. If I guess he sticks around, cuts his teeth long enough, who knows? There may be a head coaching opportunity in the future in the NFL, and that's a whole different ball game than what the college game is. I wouldn't want to go back to the college game if I were him. Probably a lot more money and a lot more stability to be had in the NFL in the current landscape. So definitely congratulations to Willie T.
The football team, their Big Red Helmet was nominated for Uniswag Helmet of the Year.
Yeah, awesome news. Second Red Tail wrap up. We've talked about the Big Red Helmet. The last time the full uniform, including the red helmet, had been put into the College Football Hall of Fame. So again, this just goes to highlight and showcase just the amazing work that our equipment staff does.
Let's move on to the baseball team. They beat Lafayette College 5-2 in game 1, 9-3 in game 2, and 8-1 game 3. Monday evening, WKU baseball lost to Murray State 2-1 in 12 innings.
Yeah, they started the season out 5-0. Before that loss earlier tonight to Murray State, they were one of 17 teams that were still undefeated in all of Division I NCAA baseball. So really good start to the season. Dropped a heartbreaker to Murray, led most of the way. Murray was able to push across a tying run in the bottom of the ninth. It went 12 innings, and Murray was able to walk it off. So, hate to lose that one, but you can't win them all. And, Coach Rardon obviously has that team playing really well, win or lose tonight. So, still expect a lot of good things from the baseball team.
All right, so moving on, softball, they beat Gardner-Webb 9-1 and beat Bradley 6-4. On Monday, WKU softball beat Bradley 2-1 and Gardner-Webb 10-3 with a girl from Barron County, Katie Murphy. She smacked a 3-run home run tonight.
Yeah, we've had a lot of young faces for the softball team. Also, Charlotte Heron had a really strong outing. I think she had her first home run. And then also Katie there. So really like to see, a couple weeks ago, I feel like we were talking about softball having a rough opening to the season. But the last couple weeks, they've really put it together and strung together a lot of victories. So, really solid outing again. And I think this softball team, they're, picked top 3 in the league. I think they're really going to make some noise and compete for that conference championship.
And that concludes this week's Red Tail wrap-up. Moff, back to you.
Yeah, good stuff as always. I think I posted it last night. It was a weekend sweep for the Hilltoppers. They didn't lose any games starting on Friday, between tennis, baseball, softball, and men's and women's basketball. Win a perfect, I forget what it was, like 9-0, 10-0, something like that between all the teams. So really solid showing. Always good news in the wrap up to talk about all those. And I've already given you a forewarning. Next week's wrap up, 18, 19, 20 games, whatever it is, it's going to be a lot. That's going to be a big, long wrap up. Get ready. But today we're going to talk about the basketball team and the most recent homestand that we just completed. I called it the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde performances that we just saw. I really think, the 2 games from Thursday to Saturday were kind of a perfect microcosm of what our whole season has been. First, the announced attendance for the Thursday game was 2,945 people. Not terrible, not great, kind of where we've been most of the season. But I was getting to the arena on Thursday, and before I even got in the parking garage, I had people reaching out saying, "Hey, I think Christian Lander is not playing." Coming to find out from the radio guys, he was experiencing some back problems and was doubtful for the game versus Sam Houston. Then the starting lineup was announced, and Tyrone Marshall also wasn't in the starting lineup. And Jalen Dorsey, walk-on, was starting the game. Happy for him, but just kind of a weird, more injuries, more uncertainty. Don't know what's going on with those guys. And then to add to that, then we hear Julia Stedford's not in the building, and we don't know why. It reported as an illness, or no, Julia Stedford's the knee injury. Then Enoch was not in the building, and his was reported as an illness. Again, don't know what's going on there. That's just what's being said. And then we tipped off and we played the game, and quite frankly, it was one of the, I guess, uglier efforts we've seen this season. Probably the worst overall game from start to finish since the FIU loss, or maybe the Michigan loss, whichever one you want to look at. It just wasn't the best effort defensively, and then offensively we just weren't making shots. It just felt like a flat team, a flat effort, and just overall wasn't a good game. It wasn't fun to attend. And that's just putting it nicely, putting it quickly. We did lose that game to Sam Houston, 78-62. Again, it never really was competitive. Sam Houston got up, by as much as 20 points in the first half. I think their largest lead of the game was 25 points. And that loss dropped us to a 14-12 overall record, and we're 5-8 in Conference USA play after that game. Tyler, it wasn't a pretty game, and obviously it seems like there's just a lot more roster stuff and uncertainty going on. But what are your thoughts on this Sam Houston game and how it played out?
Well, you're right. It was very ugly. The defense wasn't really there. Offense wasn't either. This is whenever I was at home with the flu, so of course I was listening to it. It was it was terrible all the way around. I'd listened to the post game conference, and the coach, he was like, "This is probably the worst I think he said since the Michigan game. Actually, this is the worst that the team has played overall." But there was. I try to look for the silver linings in everything. I don't think I could really find one in that game itself. It was just a bad all around performance.
I got one silver lining for you, and it's going to kick off my stat leaders. Blaze Keita, leading scorer in the game, 11 points and 9 rebounds. Man, he has all of a sudden the last couple weeks, he's kind of woke up and kind of been a factor in a lot of ball games. And we're going to talk about him later on in this episode as well. So definitely want to give him props and a shout out. 11 points, 9 rebounds. Don McHenry also had 11 points. He had 2 rebounds and 3 assists. And then Tyrone Marshall, also 11 points with 6 rebounds. And then Jack Edlin back into the rotation, 11 points and 2 rebounds. Looking at the team stats for the game, field goal percentage, WKU shot 33.8%. Sam Houston was 10% points better there at 44.8. 3-point percentage, WKU was at 30%. Sam Houston was at 44%. Rebounds, again, Sam Houston, controlled that. They had 45. We had 34. Then turnovers, WKU only had 7 on the game. Sam Houston had 9. So that was basically the only statistic that we won. And, I do like to see that we took care of the ball. Only 7 turnovers is great. Now, we've had several games with single-digit turnovers on the season now. So taking care of the ball, that's for sure. But it was an ugly loss. There's no way around that. And then, on top of that, we had a quick turnaround, it felt like, from that Thursday night game to the Saturday night game where we hosted Louisiana Tech. Really solid crowd. It really surprised me coming off of that Sam Houston loss and just how ugly and deflating it kind of was. Especially if you got on Twitter, if you got on the message boards after the game or during the game, it was just a lot of negativity and agendas and conspiracy theories being tossed around by certain factions of the fan base that just are too emotional, tweeting like girls. I like to say they just get too emotional after every time the wind blows. They want to tell you how hard it was blowing. But 41-23 was the attendance for the game for Louisiana Tech. It was a really solid attended game. Julius and Enoch both MIA, again, not on the bench, not in the building. Louisiana Tech always plays us super tough. I mean, thinking back a few years ago to Tavion Hollingsworth having 43 points and hitting, the logo bank shot to help us win that game. And we know Daniel Batcho is a handful. Usually they like to parade him to the free throw line and just let him get everybody in foul trouble. And we were in no position to get in foul trouble in this game. The game itself was really back and forth. It got a little physical at times, a little chippy if you were watching. But in the end, it was Braxton Bayless who made play after big play after big play. He had himself a career night, and he literally led us to victory with a last-second layup, not a travel, not a walk, a last-second layup to secure the win, 64-63. And I have to say, Daniel Batcho was held in check. He only had 10 points, and I think it was 5 rebounds in 31 minutes of action. I'm going to talk about that a little bit later when we're talking about stats. But, man, really proud of WKU. They gutted out a much-needed victory and stopped that 4-game losing streak. Tyler, what were your thoughts on that Louisiana Tech win?
Well, I mean, it's just the 9-day difference between the two games. You had less than 48 hours between the two, and I don't know where this team was Thursday, but I really wish that they was in the building that night as well, because it was great seeing players on defense kind of swarm Batcho, and every time they'd even try to get the ball to him, it seemed like it was getting poked out or deflected. I mean, it was just a great all around defensive game for the team. Especially considering what you had the night before or on Thursday night. And I was kind of worried about the fans coming into this game, because, I thought Thursday probably would be the bigger draw, given it was a blackout. It was a Thursday night game. And I didn't know if many people would come out and support the team after a performance like that, or of us losing a game like that. I'm really glad that the fans came out. And man, this game right here, it was crazy. It was such a great game, and I'm so glad that we was able to pull it out and gut it out and win it.
Yeah, looking at some of the stat leaders for this win over Louisiana Tech, Braxton Bayless was our leading scorer, 27 points, 5 rebounds, and 4 assists in 38 minutes of action. I could just stop right there. That's really the only guy we have to talk about. Braxton Bayless scored our first 4 points of the game. I remember tweeting out Braxton 4, Louisiana Tech 0, and then he had that coast to coast layup with I think it was 5.4 seconds left to essentially win the game. They gave him 0.1 seconds and attempted a full court pass that was tipped by Jalen, and ball game over. Love to see it. Jalen was out there doing that tip drill. Don McHenry also had 14 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists. Tyrone Marshall added 13 points and 6 rebounds. And then I said earlier, I was going to give Blaze Keita a shout out and talk about him again. He played 27 minutes. If you look at the stat sheet, doesn't blow you away. I think he had 2 points and 5 or 6 rebounds, I think it was. But if you look at the other side of the court, he held Daniel Batcho to 10 points and 5 rebounds. And 6 of Daniel Batcho's points came from a little spurt in the second half. They started marching him to the free throw line 2 or 3 possessions in a row. 6 of his 10 points came from the free throw line. So he only made 2 field goals the entire game. And I think a lot of that is from Blaze Keita playing excellent physical defense with Batcho. I think Coach Plona had a really good game plan as far as guarding him. They were hedging screens hard out front. Defense was helping to rotate when Batcho would try to roll to the goal right in front of the rim. Just good help defense. Always had a defender behind him, if they tried to throw it over. Just really proud of what Blaze and even Leroy. Leroy was just as impactful when he was on the court. I think he played 21 minutes. So just solid, those 2 bigs, even though they're not scoring, 8 to 10, 12 points a game. If they can be physical, get some rebounds and hold down somebody like Batcho, we can win a few games here between now and the end of the season with the 4 games we have left. And quite frankly, once we get to Huntsville, anything can happen. So I'm here for it. I'm really happy for Blaze. I'm proud of him, and I love to see that growth continuing. Looking at the team stats, WKU shot 45.6% on field goals. Louisiana Tech was 37.2%. From 3-point range, WKU was 31.3%. Louisiana Tech was 36.4%. Louisiana Tech was +3 on makes there. Free throws, WKU was 7 out of 7. Love to see 100%, but Louisiana Tech was 23 out of 25. 25 free throw attempts to our 7. Don't get me started on these refs and just how inconsistent the Saturday reffing crews are in Conference USA. It's almost laughable at this point. And then to get on Twitter after the game and see Louisiana Tech fans complaining about the refs, I was like, guys, plus 18 attempts. They virtually were gift wrapping you free points to the free throw line. Don't want to hear it. Rebounds, WKU did win that battle 30-28. And then points in the paint. If you had told me before the game that we would dominate points in the paint 36-16, I would not have believed you with Daniel Bacho on the Louisiana Tech Bulldogs and saying he's healthy and he's going to play this entire game. 36-16. In my opinion, that's the winning stat right there, is that we took care of business. We got to the rim. We scored in the paint. A lot of that was Braxton Bayless, Don McHenry, Wu, all those guys did an absolutely phenomenal job. Tyler, let's jump into some grades. As always, what we've been doing, we're going to wrap them up both into one homestand grade. So what do you have for the offense for these 2 games?
Oh gosh, dude. If it was just the Sam Houston game, it would be a very low grade. This game's going to knock it up. I'm going to have to go B on this one.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same as you. Sam Houston was probably a D if you're being generous. Louisiana Tech was an A in my opinion. So if you average them out, that's a high C, a low B. So I'm right there with you. I'll give them a B as well. What about your grade for the defense?
I would like to say this about the defense, though, against La Tech. What about when Jalen got into it and kind of got chippy with old Bacho? I mean, to me, that's a good sign right there. I'm glad Jalen's not scared of anybody. I texted you something. It was kind of an expletive instead of Bacho. But he's kind of a play on word with his name. But I was just glad they did that. Now, getting into the grade. So you got – once again, as the title implies, this is a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde type thing. Defense for La Tech, great. I don't think you could ask for better defense. Against Sam Houston, though, I'm going to have to go. The La Tech is really helping this one out a lot. I'm going to have to go B- again.
Yeah, I'm the same. Sam Houston defense energy, the intensity just wasn't there. Weren't getting stops. Didn't have that just energy that we played with for most every game of the season. I'm glad it was back versus Louisiana Tech. I think we win both those games and we play with that intensity on Thursday. But I'll give them a B as well because per usual, Coach Plona made the necessary adjustments and did what he had to do, and defense was solid on Saturday. What about your grade for coaching?
Well, see, this one kind of throws in there as well because there was a question. I think on the radio they said that Sam Houston game, that was the 17th different starting lineup we've had throughout this season. And nothing against Jalen. I'm glad he's on the team. With him being started though, that's kind of a question mark, right? Especially with the weapons that you have been starting. And the Sam Houston game, there is some very questionable things for the coaching, but he righted the ship, and I guess I want him to get that same motivational speech he gave to the team before the La Tech game, before every game this season that we have left. I'm going to have to give this one a B.
I hear you. I hear you on the lineup changes and some of the decisions, but I think that Coach Plona is playing with the cards he's been dealt. I think some players had to have a message sent to them, and I think that message was received. Um, and I think Coach Plona has done an amazing job. I really, the Thursday effort, it is what it is. The players did not execute, weren't intense, didn't put ourselves in position to win. But every time we made a little run and got into the game, or if it started to slip just a little bit, Hank was quick to call a timeout and get that team over to the bench. Hey, let's talk about this. Let's refocus. Let's get where we need to be to put ourselves in position. His effort and his intensity and his strategizing to put themselves in position to win or to get momentum going never stopped. It just didn't translate onto the court. And then against Louisiana Tech, again, I talked about the defensive job, the plan they had on Bacho, fronting him a lot, the way they were guarding him on those head screens and rolls to the rim. A lot of times had a player behind him. Really liked what I saw against Louisiana Tech. One of our better defensive efforts of the season. I think coaching, Coach Plona is getting an A for me. It's hard. I didn't like the Sam Houston game. Don't take it that way. But I think Hank has been coaching his butt off and dealing with adversity basically since the Murray State game. When Baba went down and injuries started just getting crazy and just piling up, he has been managing cats. Basically, it feels like he's done an amazing job, and I'm glad for Coach Plona to turn it around and get this victory. What about your grade for the fans in these two games?
I'll tell you, the fans, from being on the radio, and I was in and out of it. I was falling asleep and waking up, falling asleep, waking up. I know they didn't have a reason to really get loud and try to rally the troops, but La Tech game, man, it was awesome. I could hear them, I could see them. They was loud. They was letting you know they was there. So the fans are getting an A for me.
Yeah, the fans get an A for me as well. Both games. I mean, 2,900 still active and engaged for most of that first half until it was just ugly. And then a lot of fans filed out. Don't blame them. The Saturday game, 4,200 plus people. It was loud the whole time, especially towards the end of the game when we were just kind of going blow for blow, back and forth. Braxton Bayless hitting big shots, Don hitting big shots. PA announcer Cody Schuler is down there getting the fans hyped up, and it was loud in Diddle Arena. And gosh, I've missed the days of 7,000 plus in there, because 4,000 plus in there was rocking, and the atmosphere was crazy. I'm so glad we made that layup, Braxton did, and sent us walking out of there with the victory. But regardless, the atmosphere was amazing. The fans get an A for me. What about your overall grade for this homestand?
Overall, it's going to have to be a B after you average everything out.
Yeah, I'm right there with you again. I think, like the episode title says, Jekyll and Hyde, we saw the ugly of the season and we saw the good of the season in this homestand. So I'm right there with you. It was a B. Obviously, both of us would rather see a 2-0 homestand, but it was a split, and that's okay. We'll move forward. And now we have to talk about our the last road trip of the season. Coming up this Thursday, we play at UTEP. That game is at 8 p.m. It's on CBS Sports Network. WKU's record is currently 15-12 overall. We are 6-8 in Conference USA play. UTEP is currently 17-10. They are 7-7 in conference play. UTEP is coming off of 3 straight losses. Sounds familiar. We were just coming off a losing streak. I think that'll give them a little, maybe a little extra motivation being at home, trying to stop that losing skid. They most recently lost to Kennesaw State and Jacksonville State on that tough road swing. The ESPN matchup predictor really likes UTEP, 61.9% to 38.1%. We played them previously on January 30th with WKU winning that game 78-74. UTEP is still the number 5 best team in the nation at forcing turnovers at 16.67 per game. Their leading scorer is Otis Frazier. He's scoring 14.4 points per game. Leading rebounder is Kevin Kalu. Big boy on the court. You can't miss him. He's only averaging 5.5 rebounds per game. And then their leading passer is David Terrell Jr., averaging 3.8 assists per game. Tyler, what's your thoughts on this UTEP game that could be a tough one, quite frankly, on the road? I think they're all tough on the road, but I don't know. Something about UTEP and their defense, man. They're tough.
I feel like it's always tough to play for us to play at UTEP, especially there at the Don Haskins Center. UTEP is a very historical team, and a lot of people think of that. Think of that movie. Glory Road, and for good reason. This team is good. Them still being number 5 in the nation in forcing turnovers, to me, that's crazy. That just means we're going to have to play lights out offense, and we're going to take very, very good care of the ball. Because obviously, if they force turnovers, they're going to want to run and get points in transition. I think this is another hard road test for the guys. Whenever we beat them by 4 points, that's at our house. That's nothing to. That just shows how tough this UTEP team is going to be.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And then the second half of this road trip, we travel to New Mexico State, Las Cruces on Saturday at 5 p.m. That game is on ESPN Plus. New Mexico State is currently 15-12 overall. They are 8-6 in conference play. They've won 3 games in a row. Most recently, winning that Kennesaw State, Jacksonville State swing. We played New Mexico State on February 1st. With WKU winning probably our best performance of a year, that 101-69, just beat down in Diddle Arena, where we caught fire. We couldn't miss, 18 out of 36 from 3, 60% from the field. Just probably our best offensive performance of the season. And part of me thinks that there's going to be a little bit of a revenge factor for New Mexico State. They're going to want to get that taste out of their mouth. Surely they're not anticipating that we come into their house and shoot that hot again. So that one, I don't know. That makes me a little hesitant, a little unsure about how this game may go. We might have to come in there with our best effort, and that can be tough on the road. The second game of a road swing. So, not looking forward to it. But the matchup predictor really favors Mexico State 63.1% to 36.9. Their leading scorer is Christian Cook. He's averaging 13.2 points per game. Their leading rebounder is Peter Filipovich, 8.3 rebounds per game. And their leading passer is Zaldi Jackson at 3.4 assists per game. Tyler, what are your thoughts, man? Is it a revenge game? Is it one we just need to take care of business? What do we got to do to beat New Mexico State here?
Well, I hope this is a team that we just naturally come in and just shoot lights out on them. I will think they will want revenge after that beatdown that we gave them, because that's something you just don't forget when the team drops 100 on you and just can't hit it or can't miss it, even if they wanted to. I'm hoping that we do go over there though and just drop 110 on them this time. I don't think that's going to happen, but I will think we will have to play one of our best games going in there. They're averaging 36 rebounds a game, so we're going to have to either keep them off the boards or get more, or get like 40 or something. I feel like if we're going to want to win this game.
Yeah, life on the road in Conference USA is tough. Yeah, I think we know that, and it's been tough. And now with 4 games left in the season, I think we're at 7 or 8 in Conference USA standings right now. I don't, off the top of my head, I don't have the standings. But we still can move up, win a couple games. We can move up potentially to that top 6, getting a bye, going to Huntsville, missing that Wednesday game, playing on Thursday. So that is still the goal. We need to win out, at least split this road swing, preferably win both of them, and then come back home for FIU and Liberty the week after this one. So It's fun. It's going to be tough, Tyler. That kind of leads us right into our keys to victory for both of these games. What's your first key to victory to win these games?
Well, I just kind of left off with it. Win the rebounding battle. So Sam Houston, they're averaging 30 rebounds a game. Then you got, like I said, New Mexico State. They're averaging 36 point something. So we're definitely gonna have to win that rebounding battle if we're going to come out of these games with a win.
Per usual, we don't share notes, but I do have notes written down, and my first one is rebounds. We have to be competitive. All the games that we've lost, the rebounding edge has just been out of our favor big time. Not just a little bit. We've not been competitive. We're getting rebounded by 8, 10, 12 plus rebounds. And both of these teams have some big physical guys. And we've started to see Leroy, Blaze, Tyrone, those guys hold their own for the rebounding margin. We have to keep it close or win the rebounding margin. That's given us extra possessions on the offensive end or limiting their possessions on the defensive end. It has to happen. That's an effort stat. And we've seen a direct correlation between that stat and wins and losses. So, rebounds is my number one key to victory as well. What is your second key to victory?
Keep that La Tech type. Keep the defense that we was playing against La Tech going. I feel like if we do that, that's going to win us a lot of games because that defense was locked down. It was great. I feel like if we keep that up, I feel like New Mexico State and UTEP really probably won't. It won't be as close as La Tech was because La Tech's a good team. UTEP and New Mexico State's good, but I don't think they could match us if our defensive intensity is that strong.
Yeah, my second key to victory, I went with turnovers, and that's because one, UTEP is top 5 in the country in forcing turnovers. New Mexico State is also a very aggressive and active hands team that can turn live ball turnovers into points the other way. I think we just have to be smart with the ball. Hopefully we get a Christian Lander back and healthy. We have no idea right now how that is going to be by Thursday, but we hope his back allows him to, be available to play, or Jack, Don, Jalen, all those guys have done a really solid job lately. But the more bodies we can have to keep guys fresher, especially on the road. But we've got to take care of the ball. If we're turning the ball over and it's going the other way, we saw that against Sam Houston. They had so many points off turnovers. It was ugly. We just have to take care of the ball, plain and simple. Value the basketball. Don't have empty possessions. Put yourself in a position to score, because we've shown that we can be efficient if we're taking good, smart shots. But it can be tough as well. So take care of the basketball. What is your third key to victory?
I'm going to say play from the inside out. Against in this Sam Houston game from the threes, we were 9 of 30. I'm not. I can't remember what we was in the La Tech game, but we're better at hitting set threes than we are off the dribble threes. So if we can get the ball in, if we can drive or get the ball into Leroy or Woo or Blaze, and they can kick it out to Braxton, Christian if he's playing, Don, that just helps free them up and makes their shot a whole lot easier. So I'm going to say play from the inside out.
Kind of crazy. My third key to victory just says bigs. That's all I did. I wrote down bigs. And that's because, the last couple weeks we've been giving a lot of shine to Leroy and Blaze and how they've stepped up and impacted games. I think they have to continue that. They can't just disappear in games. Both of these teams, like I said earlier, have some physical, big body guys that if we allow them to assert themselves, we'll get dominated, quite frankly. And we saw what we just did to Daniel Bacho and Louisiana Tech. That same effort, that same intensity, that same attention to detail on defense from our bigs will go a long way. Then on the flip side of that, those guys can score. We've seen Leroy with a couple hooks, Blaze with a couple hooks, some dunks here and there. So, reward the big guys. We love to see them dump it down there. Like you said, it opens up that inside out game where you can kick it out to an open shooter, which is statistically about a 10 percentage points better shot than, a off the dribble shot. So that's what we prefer to see, love to see. And I think those guys are, coming into their own. Granted, it's late into February, but that's fine. It's still a lot to play for. 4 games left in regular season, then Huntsville, and look at last year. Anything can happen. So, who have you got for your MVT for this road swing?
All right, so last week I went with Christian Lander, and it didn't pan out because he didn't play, and I hope he's back. I really do. It's nice to see him on the court because he does give you that little extra effort, and he is a shooter. But I'm going to go back with Wu on this week. I feel like he still is a matchup nightmare, and whenever he gets it going, he can go off.
Crazy, insane. So we've seen several players step up. I mean, we've seen Christian pop off. We've seen Don doing Don things, like I love to say, stirring the drink. Braxton this past game. I think that's going to lead to these teams focusing more on Don and Braxton, trying to limit them, trying to stop them up top or get the ball out of their hands. So I'm right there with you. I think Tyrone Marshall, I've called him the X factor all year. When he steps up and plays and is aggressive, especially, that really changes the dynamic of this team and how he has to be guarded and opens up spacing for everybody else. So give me Tyrone Marshall as well as my MVT. What are your score predictions for this road trip?
All right, so for UTEP, it's going to be 75-72 tops win. And I don't know what the line is. I don't think it's out yet, but I'm not for sure. But I'm going to go with tops winning by 3. You want me to do New Mexico State as well? Okay. New Mexico State, I don't think we're going to be shooting lights out, shooting just unconscious like we did whenever we played in our place. I hope we do. But I got tops winning 83-76.
Tops win, you win, we lit, baby. We have 2 wins each. Both of us do. I have the UTEP game, WKU winning 74-69. That would be nice. And then I have New Mexico State. I have WKU winning 78-71. Again, like you said, I don't think I hope we can. I would love to see us go in there and shoot lights out like we did here at home. But that's one of those kind of once a season, once every few season type of games. But I think we can hold our own. We can definitely win these games, even with the injuries, the limited bench, the uncertainty of who even is going to be making the trip. I still think we have the team to make some noise, upset some people, get some road victories, and then turn around and start thinking about the home stretch for FIU and Liberty, and then talking about Huntsville and seeding and just all that comes with that. So, man, I'm just really excited for basketball season, especially getting close to tournament time, both conference tournament and the NCAA tournament. One of the favorite times of the year for everyone. But hopefully the tops can put themselves in position. It will be hard to repeat the magic of last year, but man, we have the ability, and Lord knows who knows, maybe somebody gets healthy and makes a surprise appearance and comes back. I'm not holding my breath for that. As we record, it's late Monday night. Coach Plona's presser will be tomorrow at 11:30. I'm guessing between 11:30 and 12, we'll hear some news and or updates on the status of some of those guys, if they are or aren't coming back, or maybe we'll just hear more. We don't know. We're still 2-3 weeks left in the season, so decision time eventually. But the guys that we have are playing hard, can still win ball games, and obviously looking forward to recapping a couple of victories here and just this time next week. So Tyler, hit us with your final words and take us on out.
Yeah, when we go on a losing streak and you got some of these people on Twitter, they get down, they try to be like Eeyore. They're like, man, just call the season over. Let's just forget about it. I never understood those people. I mean, throughout the season, this team has showed everyone time and time again, there's a crap ton of weapons on this team. And, if they can go off at the same time or get in that groove right there, this team's going to be pretty hard to stop. Braxton, he's done all right all season, but he's not. I think a few games he may have broke double digit points, but he never dropped 27 on a team. That's great to see. I mean, you got him, you got Don, you got Wu, you got Lander. Heck, it was great seeing Jack score. Scoring in the game. With 11. Blaze scored 11. I mean, we got a lot of players who can score and a lot of players that could chip in. So to me, this season is far from over. Yes, no one likes going on a losing streak, especially the players. It's just not fun. It's not enjoyable for anybody. So I don't see why people want to be all doom and gloom all the time whenever, like, dude, the future's bright. But I am looking forward to recapping victories over these next two guys, and I for real see it happening. But we'll see how that rolls out on Thursday. Moff, who has better than us, dude?
Nobody, buddy. You know it. Go Tops.
Go Tops, y'all.
Later, guys.
Bye. See you.